Welcome to Nicole Crouch World over here. I want to tell you that I love y'all on today and every single day. And I also want to give y'all a couple things to change the narrative of who you believe you are. Because a lot of times we try to go forward in our life and we think that the old narrative is going to assist us in any kind of way. It's not. Because ultimately, in order to become somebody new and to experience a new reality, you have to be willing to rearrange and shift your own self-perception. I know this just turned. To shift your own self-perception of who you think that you are. And ultimately, it all starts not so much of who's around you, because that doesn't matter, but what really matters is what's going on inside of you. What is connecting you to keep thinking the thoughts that you have that keeps you connected to the same person that you've always been, right? What are the habits that you have in place that you're not aware of, that are in place, that are causing the same reality to show on the screen of your life, right? That's a good question. And another good question is, how am I going to change the narrative? How am I going to change this old, rotten, tore up, almost like dead narrative that's no longer serving my purpose, right? How am I going to change this? And all change starts where? All change starts where? In the mind. Remember that. All change starts in the mind. All change starts in the mind. All change. So, in order to change the thought process, in order to change the same things you've been telling yourself, right? In order to change your reality, in order to give yourself a chance to experience an alternate reality that's still happening at the same time, just on a different timeline, in order to dial into that and to tap into that, you have to be willing to acknowledge your state of awareness, your state of consciousness. You have to be willing to allow yourself to receive and understand your state of consciousness, right? Because a lot of us don't know about different levels of consciousness. We just know that we are surviving and living. We just don't have a clue of exactly how. I mean, what's the main part? What's the main part and the main reason and the main level of why we do the things we do to keep getting the same results? And what is the key to changing that? You are the key to changing that. But ultimately, we do the same things we do because we are unaware that we're doing it. We are unaware of the part of level of consciousness that this thing stems from. The part of level of consciousness that this thing stems from. We are unaware of that. We are unaware of how to truly break it down and understand it. Because in order to really truly understand anything, you have to be willing to dive deep on that thing. You have to be willing to dive deep on that. So let's start with one thing we could do, or a few things. I don't even know how many I'm gonna get to in this video, but I'm gonna talk until I get to my destination point, because I feel like this needs to be heard. The first thing one can do, I had some turmeric. I eat raw turmeric. Weird. But back on subject. One thing that we can do to start to get in alignment, right, with the alternate person that we are, because it's a lot of different personalities that we are. It's a lot of different modalities that we can operate in. It's a lot of different levels of consciousness we can operate in. You just have to pick and choose which one you want to operate in. And I'm telling you, the highest level of consciousness is high vibration, high frequency, happy all the time, conscious all the time, understanding that I create my own reality all the time, knowing and ebbing with the flow of the universe, and knowing that if I think this and keep thinking this one thing, it's going to keep creating the same thing on the screen of my life. And if it's a negative thing, it's going to keep showing itself. I'm just saying, the universe don't know if it's happening now, especially if you keep thinking about it. It's not aware of time. It's not aware of time. So when you think about being positive, and you think about being happy, you think about being in a higher state of frequency, the universe is like, wow, okay, I'm gonna give you some things to show you, that shows me that you are operating in a high vibrational frequency. Everything is in alignment. Literally. So let's talk about one thing you could do to I could say get in alignment, but also not just get in alignment, but one major thing you can do to connect to and changing the narrative of the same old, right? Because we want something different. We want something different right now. And so in order to change that thing that we want different right now it's just a trigger. It's something that you can do every single day. One of the things that you can do every single day is writing down your thoughts on paper, and being consistent with writing down your thoughts on paper. Not even being consistent, but being aware and learning the characteristics of where you are in life as far as your thoughts go, via the same thoughts that you keep having. The repetitive thoughts that you keep having. What do you keep constantly telling yourself every single day? What do you keep telling yourself every single day? Huh? What are the same thoughts that you keep telling yourself? That's a good question, because what you keep telling yourself is what's going to keep showing up. You can't get anything different if you're not willing to think different, respond different, act different, show up just all different. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be willing. This is how you change the narrative. Because changing the narrative is a process. It really is. Changing your life narrative is a process, and it's also something that is strongly possible. Extremely possible. You have to know that. So we said writing stuff down, writing your thoughts down, and doing creative writing about who you feel like you are. You know, and being honest and upfront, and being real honest about not only being real honest about your thought process, but being honest about the things that you truly know you need to change and work on. Being very honest, absolutely honest about what you truly want to work on. When you write that down, you're going to figure that out, because it's all going to connect. You know, when you write that down, you are going to figure that out, because it's all going to connect. All of it. And in writing that down, you are constantly reminding yourself where you are. And you should do this for 30 days. I say write for 30 days. Every thought that you have for 30 days. A lot of us don't have the patience to do it. But I'm telling you, if you really want to change the narrative of your life, you will do the work. So you're going to write down your thought process for 30 days. So that you can see the angle of your thoughts. You can see if they're positive or negative. You can see if they are going to feed your greatest version of yourself, or they're going to distract from your greatest version of yourself. Because sometimes we drain our own self. When we overthink, and excessive thinking and negative thinking, it drains us from being able to think positive. Literally. Step 2. What you can do to change the narrative of your life and change the perception you have of yourself. You can listen to podcasts, positive podcasts of people who have something that you want to learn. But ultimately, changing the narrative literally stems from inside of you. You have to be willing to break barriers and be comfortable with being in silence and in quiet, because a lot of times, a lot of people learn themselves when they are in solitude. Solitude is one of them things that it's a beautiful thing when you embody it, and you just in it, and you just like, I'm gonna learn myself in this. Like, I'm not gonna let the uncomfortableness of the quietness of the room make me run away from really sitting still, really being in that space with my own self. Because in order to become better, you have to do what you've never done before. In order to become comfortable with yourself, you have to be willing to sit in spaces with yourself, in a quiet place with yourself. It's a challenge, but it is so empowering when you get into that place, because you're getting well acquainted with who you are. If you don't want to sit in the same room with you, who will make you think somebody else want to sit in the same room with you for too long? I'm just saying, fall in love with yourself. But do listen to podcasts and listen to people, and only take from what stands out to you, what resonate with you, and write it down. You know, I was doing that all day yesterday. I was listening to a great motivational speaker, and I was just like jotting stuff down, and it was just like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just happened to be, up, and because I went to sleep early, and so I was just like, oh, I'm doing this, oh, I'm about to write this down. I just was like really in my zone, and I just know that if it benefits me, I know it'll benefit you. You know what I'm saying? So I said writing stuff down, and I said being alone, because you need time to yourself, and I said, what did I say third? Writing stuff down, being alone, and and listening to podcasts. So that's 3 things you can do to change the narrative. The 4th thing you can do to change the narrative is be willing to get away from negative-minded people. Be willing to separate from negative souls, negative minds, negative conversations. I don't care who it is. If they can't feed the life that you're trying to create, you have to be willing to part ways with them. You have to be willing to part ways with them. That's how you grow. That's how you connect to a higher vibrational frequency, because sometimes it's your environment that keeps you at a low vibrational frequency. And I know, because I shifted from one state to another state. I shifted from that state to another state too, and came back to the state I was at. So I know that the energy, and it was a total different energy when I went to the next state from here. Like, the 3rd state was like, a year? Oh, that was enough. My soul couldn't take it. I had to get up out of there. I'm telling you. So I'm telling you from experience. So everything I speak about on my videos that you see is really coming from real life experience that I experienced, and how I got through it, and what I seen, and what I felt. All of that stuff plays a part. And so when I tell you, you have to eliminate the negative people out of your life, because that's what's going to move you forward. That's going to help you change the narrative. Because if that person is around you and they can't see you being greater, they're going to always keep the same memories of you, the same old person they used to know. You can't be around a person that know you for the old past version of you, because you're trying to grow into a new version of yourself. They're not going to be able to see the new person, never, really, probably, until they see, you know what I'm saying? And you looking like somebody different, and you walking and you talking, and your whole life look different. They don't have a choice but to accept it. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. That's just what it is, for real. So you start journaling, you get that alone time, you start journaling, you get that alone time, what did I say the 3rd one was, y'all? Damn, my thoughts just left. Start journaling, you get that alone time, start watching podcasts, and you get away from negative-minded people. Thanks, Spirit. Thank you, God. Because God always with me. He just spoke to me, and it all came back. Just like, you never discredit God. Give God all the praise, all the glory, and because you're not walking this life alone. That was just proof that popped up in my video, that you just never walking alone. Never, just know that you're never alone, okay? Never alone. And so another thing you could do, which is the 5th thing you could do to change your narrative, is be willing to do things different. Be willing to do things differently. If you brush your teeth with your left hand, get up in the morning and brush your teeth with your right hand. Right? I'm serious. If you always putting your clothes on, starting with your strongest side first, start with your weak side. If you write with your left hand, start writing with your right hand. Become ambidextrous. I'm just saying. It's powerful when you get in the zone in that. When you get in that zone, you're just literally untying all the things that was in knots, all the conditioning over your whole entire life that you have really been, you've been rooted inside of this pot, this plant. You've been rooted in this little tiny plant, and now you're trying to grow and evolve and expand. This pot is going to break and crack because you're becoming someone new in this space. You're becoming a new version of yourself. So all the old things is going to fall away, and new things is going to create something so beautiful, as beautiful as a rose, right? You gotta just allow it to happen. Allow it to happen. Because when you start doing things new, doing things different, taking steps and strides in different areas, where if you always going to the movies, you know what I'm saying? You always going to the movies, and at the movies, you just watching the movie, but then you decide to not invest in this movie. Now you about to go to this conference because now you want to be around people who trying to go in the direction you trying to go in, and you putting yourself around uncomfortable people in uncomfortable situations, because you got to touch elbows with the people who you want to become like. You got to honor who you are. That is the frequency that you are on when you begin to change the narrative. Period. Well, I love y'all so much. You barely see my face. I just want to tell y'all that life is what you make it. Life is what you make it at all times, okay? Be you. Be you. I don't care if it's with a wig, without a wig, with makeup, without makeup. Always be yourself. It's the best part. It's the best experience and the best feeling in your heart when you just be yourself. Some people struggle with just being themselves. For real. So when you struggle with being yourself, that means you're struggling with showing up. You're struggling with showing up for yourself to who you really are. Right? But when you show up to who you really are, that means you holding a space for yourself. And you honoring who you are. You honoring how you feel. You honoring your thoughts, because your thoughts is a thing. It's a real life thing. You value who you are. You really increasing the value of what you feel about yourself. And when you increase the value of what you feel about yourself, everything I put in this video and named in this video and say all the 5 steps that you can take to change your narrative, you're going to implement that. You're going to implement that. Hands down, period. Easy, quick. No excuses. You're going to hold yourself fully accountable. You're going to hold you accountable. You're not going to depend on the outside world to hold you accountable. You're going to hold you accountable. Period. That's what it's time for. Well, I got to get to class. I love y'all. And remember to smile often and let no one steal your joy. Mwah.